Now, my shape.
I'm gonna make some adjustments because your head is cut off.
I manifested a shape this morning, by the way.
What?
Yes.
Will you teach me how to do that?
Mm-hmm. So we are live. Anyone joining us yet?
One on each. Woo!
Uh-oh.
Peggy Campbell. Sorry, we were late.
No. That was my fault. A friend walked in last minute, was like, hey, what you doing? We hadn't seen him in a while, so there's a little catch up.
Yeah, and with us, like we're talkers. If you've been watching these for the last
3 days.
3 days, we don't have a problem having conversations.
No,
even when no one's listening.
We tend to talk. You can put Chris here, and he'll just talk to himself. Yeah, keep going and going and going. Yeah, talkers. So today, what are we talking about today? What? Manifestation secrets, live training day 3. So this is the third day of the training. We're going to be jumping into the secrets of manifestation. So what we talked about day 1 was movement. And movement, there's two main components to movement. The first is move to get your body right, to get your body healthy, to get to when we say move, we love yoga, and so we're like, no, do yoga. That is a wonderful, incredible movement art. But in actuality, you can move like any way you want to move. You want to go run, you want to do this, but move your body for the health. Right? Move your body because you need core strength and you need mobility. You need these things in your life. It's vital, especially as we get older. We have to maintain postural function. We have to maintain movement function, and we got to maintain health in our body.
Real quick. Can I get
Jump on in. Jump on in. Cut me off. I'll stop talking now.
Here's the other component of that. So we're moving for all the reasons John just described, and in this idea of manifestation and manifestation secrets, you want to create big things in your life. You want to do things and accomplish things and live on another level. And when you get there, you want to be healthy to enjoy it. So many people who have been so driven, so focused on accomplishing an achievement, this outward success, and they get there and their health is miserable. They can't even enjoy where they've gotten because they've let themselves go. That's one. Two is, in the way we're talking about movement as far as meditation is concerned, we're not just moving for health and well-being of the body, we're moving for the health of the mind.
And that's where I was going to go with this, is that we need the two main components of movement are health, get the body right, get it strong, get it flexible, get it fluid power, and two, do it because it is the best way to change your state, the best way to throw a net over the craziness of the mind, right? To put reins on the mind, to pull it in. Movement gets the mind to begin to still. So those are the two main pieces to movement. The next day, so yesterday we talked about meditation. The main components of meditation, we talked about in a couple different aspects, but the main components of meditation is a simple quote, like Tony Robbins quote, master the mind or the mind is going to master you. Chris will tell you what that means.
I wasn't ready for that.
Just the room of law.
No, the core of it is master the mind means focus your attention, concentrate, be able to control what flows through your awareness. Because if you don't, you're literally letting it run off of old patterning. And we talked about yesterday, this 2 million-year-old brain that we have these patterns of keeping us alive. That's awesome. It's great. We're alive. Here we are. Let's celebrate. We've all made it 2 million years later, and we are operating. And we have that same survival software that doesn't care if we're happy. It doesn't care if we're at peace. It doesn't care if we've achieved greatness in our lives. It's literally you gotta eat, you gotta stay alive, you gotta eat enough food, and you gotta keep the species moving on. Let's procreate, let's get it going. And so beyond that, we have to focus and control what flows through this thing. Otherwise, if we're letting, and so when we talk about patterning, we talk about like consciousness, like what we're really saying is on the brain level, literally on like the neurological brain level, we have this software that is running. Like it's ancient software as far as like the evolution of the human species, but it's also like your lifetime software as far as the experiences that you've had and all the events in your life and like the parents that you grew up in and how they raised you and like all the you went to school and where to school and like your culturization of like where you were in the country or where you were in the world and like all of these things formed this software that's in your brain that is most likely, if we're not checked in and not present, it's running us into places where we don't really want to be. So the core of this is choice. When we're present, we now have the choice of how we want to respond to any situation. Which means when if I have a pre-programmed response, like an event happens and that's my program, I do it. Now again, it may keep me alive, but it may not actually get me moving in the direction of my dreams. When I'm present, I can choose how I want to be, which rewires this circuitry in the brain, which then increases the likelihood of me responding differently in the future to a similar event. So this is like this, John talked about it was like neuroplasticity. It's the ability of changing this structure of how these like neural networks fire and wire together so that we can see differently, experience life differently, and manifest things in our lives that we want, that we're looking for, that elevate our standard of living. And so that's where we want to jump into today.
So these structures create patterns, these patterns create habits, habits run our life. Habits run your life, do they not? Like every day you get up, I dare to say, every time you get up in the morning, you do almost the exact same thing. I do. Almost the exact same thing. As your day, whatever your day has in store for you, you do it pretty much the same way. We run our lives off these habits. We run our lives off these patterns. If we don't understand this simple fact, we'll just let these patterns run, meaning the mind will master us. But if we understand that, we understand two things, neuroplasticity, and that neuroplasticity meaning we can change the neural structure of the brain, and that we do run off patterns, we then have a choice to reshape our brain, to reshape our patterns, to reshape our life. So, first thing we want to say is that manifestation, in the idea of manifestation, some of you may have heard this of manifesting, this idea, like, well, what is manifesting? What do you mean manifestation? We mean creating something that it doesn't now exist. And that something may be an actual physical object, that may be a certain amount of wealth in your bank account, that may be the person of your dreams, it may be simply you, right? A new you, a new shape of you, a physical look of you, or simply a new neural structure, a new mindset. Now, in the process of manifestation, process of creation, so next thing I want to say is, we are creation machines. We are creation machines. We are constantly creating all the time. Right? Constantly creating our reality, constantly creating life in the moment, constantly. Now, what happens is we have these patterns I just talked about. These same patterns are what is helping us to create this experience. And so some of us feel like, well, it seems like my life is always the same. I get up, it's the same thing. I feel the same way. I have the same conversations. I end up having the same kind of people running my life. And I understand that sameness that you're feeling isn't actually the same. It's the creation. You're creating the same things over and over again. Right? Because of that neural structure, because of your belief patterns, because of that patterning, you create the same thing in your life over and over again.
There's a saying that we have, like, it's kind of an analogy, like you walk into a room and there's 100 things to see. And as you walk in there, you only see the 10 things that confirm what you already know to be true. And so we literally have like these blinders of the possibilities of how life could be because of the patterning, because of the structure that we just talked about, the way in which we see the world. There's another, like, I'm not super into like platitudes and all these things, but some of them are like really deep and they ring very true. And that is, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. what we're projecting out is a representation of what we're experiencing in here and in here.
So, the last 6 months, year of your life, you're seeing the results right now. What? Yeah, the last 6 months, meaning the last 6 months or a year, all of your mindset. What has your mindset been like in the last year? It's kind of cool that we're at the beginning of this year, right? Because this is when we set New Year's resolutions. Meaning we set ourselves up to have this idea of where we want to be, and then we write it down, and then we burn it so the smoke goes into the ether.
We actually used to do that.
We'll get to that sorry in a minute. Or we write it in our journal, put our journal away, and never read it for till the next year, or for a month, or 2 months, or 5 months later. Like this is like New Year's resolutions don't just happen. What we're asking for, when we ask for a New Year's resolution, when we ask to create, when we ask to manifest something new in our life, what we're asking to do is to be uncomfortable. What we're asking for is growth. And what is growth? Growth is creating something that doesn't exist. And so if something doesn't exist, we have to bring it into manifestation. What does that mean? That means I have to go through the process, right? The law of attraction, the last word in attraction is action. I have to go through the process of becoming something more than I am now. Something more than I am now. Even if what I want to manifest is outside of myself. Because if I'm not able to bring that thing into my life right now, it's not a problem of not being able to get that thing into my life. It's an internal problem. It's a mindset and a heart set. Maybe it's a skill set, but most of the time it's belief patterns that hold us back. Right? Most of the time it's a belief that holds us back. And we know this to be true. If you have this idea that you want to bring in the person of your dreams, you want to find that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. But then in your subconscious, in your deep patterning, you have this idea that you're not worthy of love. Do you think you'll ever bring that person into your life? It won't happen. You're going to continue to bring people into your life that show you that you're not worthy of love, that break your heart, that don't treat you right. You're going to confront that belief because that is your reality. That is what you believe to be true. So what you see in the world, this works, the RAS receptors, we talked about this yesterday in meditation. We tell these RAS receptors in our deepest consciousness that I'm not worthy of love. The RAS receptors will trigger, okay, look in my environment and I'll figure out what shows that you are not worthy of love. And so you meet the person that's not quite right. You see a couple red flags and you bring them into your life and you have a relationship with them. And you see the red flags, like, no, I won't look at those, I won't look at those. And then at some point, they break your heart. And at some point, they're not the right person. At some point, they tell you that, they show you that it's not the right, they're not the right one for you. We have to, in order to manifest anything, we have to change us. It's like the lobster. A lobster grows, right? It has a hard shell, and it grows into that shell. Right? It has space until it gets too big for the shell. And once it gets too big for the shell, what happens? It feels intense discomfort because it's growth. And at that point where it can no longer take it, the shell cracks.
But it's the discomfort that triggers the molt so that it can grow a new shell. This is what's so important. Now, what John was talking about, like the idea of being unworthy in love and we attract people to break our hearts, like if you look at that literally, that just reaffirms the belief that I'm unlucky in love. Yeah, here's another example of someone breaking my heart and saying how, and like proving that I'm unlucky in love, and you go through this pattern. Another way of looking at that, again, coming back to here, is that, man, maybe this is an opportunity for me to change that patterning, to see myself differently, so then I can attract different people in my life who actually value me. But if I don't value myself, I'm not going to attract the people who value me in the same way. Right? What happens in here, we don't experience the world as it is, we experience it as we are, over and over and over and over again. And so there's one of the biggest things, I think it was like, I forget when it was like late 90s, early 2000s, this book and movie called The Secret came out. And I think that's like the one book movie thing that came out, and they wrote a book out of that movie, that like it distorted people's perspectives on how, because it was like all wrapped around the law of attraction, and how like creating things in your life actually works. Because in that movie, on that book, it was like every morning, like it wouldn't say every morning, like you can write down on a letter and say, I would like a check mailed to me for $250,000. And then I'll just sit at home. And like everyone who tried that and it didn't happen, we're like, well, law of attraction doesn't work. That's bullshit. It's some airy fairy, like new agey shit like that. But like, because it's just there was a total misunderstanding of like what is actually at play when we're talking about creating things in our lives. So the way we describe it is like there's an inner creation and there's an outer creation. And the inner creation is so important. It's first, and it's what we've been really talking about this whole time, is that like it's what's going on between the ears. It's the patterning. It's how we're seeing ourselves. It's our sense of self. It's the values we have, how we operate every day, what we think is possible, what we believe we deserve, what we're willing to have and not have. Like this is like 90%, if not more, of what's creating our reality. Tony Robbins has this awesome diagram I want to put up because it really starts showing like a very simple process by which we can spiral in control or out of control. All right, we're gonna do that.
So Chris is going to write down 4 boxes, and in each box he's going to write down a word. These are all going to play on each other, and they'll play on each other in a positive way or negative way, depending on where we hold ourselves within each of these. And so the first is potential. What potential comes into what is it that we it's a little bit different than beliefs. We have beliefs, but beliefs play a big role in our potential. Like, what is our ability to do something? Like, do we have the, it's almost like the skill set or our belief about our skill set, the potential that we have.
So I want to back it up. I want to start with beliefs because it flows from what we were just saying. Like, so we were raised in a specific way. Like everyone was. You were raised in a specific way, and your parents taught you things about how the world works and doesn't work. It taught you things about like who you are as a person based on who we are as a family. And like these patterns that have been created have formed your sense of self. Your sense of self, how you feel about yourself, is the number one dictating aspect of what you believe is possible and what you can create in your world, period. Period. And that's where we start, because in those beliefs, what's been wired in here, all the software we've been talking about, what that dictates is how much potential do you have in whatever given area. Like, we were raised poor, on welfare. Like we saw our mom struggle. Like our mom and dad separated. My dad was an artist, so even when they were together, we were struggling. Then like dad leaves, they separate, they get divorced, and all of a sudden it's my mom having to take care of 6 kids, like getting help from friends and family, and like doing whatever she did. Like she was a mom during the day, and she would do graveyard shifts of hospice care at night, and like, you know, every time a bill came in, it was like, oh, I don't know where it's going to come from. Like, we're giving like the power company $5 every month just so they wouldn't turn the power off. And knowing that, hey man, we're trying, but we just don't have the money for you this month. Like, this is the reality that formed our relationship with money. What do you think that influenced about my potential to live and make money? Right? For years, I was like, man, like, I'm just happy that I have enough food on the table. That was my potential. Like, I'm good just not being on welfare. And I was like, I never thought that like anything else was possible, because my pattern, my belief system, based on how we were raised, was, man, you're struggling. Like, you may not make it next month. Food would come in, and there's 6 kids. They're like it's like animals. I'm the youngest one. I'm thinking like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I don't have enough food. And then like literally, like there's some other stories I can tell you about that. Yeah, I'm getting thrown down. I'm the runt. Like it's not.
He was a little guy.
Yeah. Survival was not certain for me when I was younger.
But add to that belief about money the spiritual idea that if you're spiritual, you should also be poor, or in some way like making money isn't spiritual, right? So add to that, or if I'm content, I need to just be okay with what is, right? So go ahead and add that on to living at a level, and just a few degrees above that level, you're like, oh, okay, I can pay my bills and I can put some money on the table, and then I have this idea of spirituality that I'm supposed to be a pauper, I'm supposed to be poor, I'm not supposed to worry about money, I'm supposed to be content, and I'm supposed to, like, it puts you into a struggle. It puts you into a really difficult place quickly if you have even a glimpse of what does it feel like to live at another level, a new standard of living, a different level of wealth and comfort.
So your potential is going to dictate the actions you take. Like, so let's use the one. If I'm unlucky in love and I feel like my potential of like finding someone like who I believe who would value me, like I'm not even getting there. I'm just lucky if someone like will date me, and hopefully like 2 times, and maybe like they'll invite me over. Like, and so the action I take is I'm not going for the person like that I'm not, like this action is limited. That's my point. It's like my potential is dictating the action, and if I feel my potential is this, the actions I take is going to be this. Period. So I'm not going for it with the person that I really want to be with. I'm going to go for the person. I'm going to settle. I'm going to allow myself to be like, well, this person for whatever reason seems more in line with who I am and my potential. And then guess what? That person shows you the results. Yeah, they broke my heart again. I guess I really am unlucky in love. What that does, the results you get from the actions you take based on the potential you feel yourself to have, which is from the beliefs, then reaffirms, oh, it's true. I am unlucky in love.
Reinforce your belief system, which reinforces the potential, which creates the same action, which creates the same results, which reinforces your beliefs. And the cycle goes and goes and goes, and what we're describing here is a downward cycle. If I follow that cycle enough times, I will never find the person of my dreams. I will never live with financial wealth. I'll never be in a state of optimal health. I'll never find what I'm looking for, because this controls us. This is a beautiful diagram of how the law of attraction works. It directly relates to our beliefs, creating our potential, creating our actions, which create our results, which reinforces our beliefs.
So when you're in that downward, like the downward feedback loop of like, or let's say, so you can say downward, it's like a stuck feedback loop. You're not like John talked about, like we have a saying for it. How are you doing today? Same thing, different day. Great. Like you're like a wealth of enthusiasm and excitement. I'm never going to talk to you again. Bye bye. But like, what we have it's in our culture because people have that idea of the sameness. But what we're saying is the sameness is a function of beliefs and potential, and taking actions and seeing the results, and then reaffirming beliefs. So the question then becomes, how do you break it? How do you get out of that? Before we go there, the other inner creation thing is for us, it's like, when I know where I want to go, right? So we're taking this and just putting it aside for a second. And so maybe you've written intentions down this year. And so you have the direction of where you want to go. You have an idea of what the end looks like. So that idea of where it looks like and where you want to go, it may be big. And usually when it's real big, your mind's like, that ain't possible. Because you can't connect all the dots. Because what we're looking at is the end. What we need to do is come back to the beginning, where you are right now. And in this realm of inner creation, what we're saying is we got to really get clear and be intentional about how we want to show up every single day for our lives.
Meaning, if I want to attract the person of my dreams, I have to move into the beingness I'm trying to not to sound too fluffy with this, but I have to move into a way of being that matches what I'm looking for. If that makes sense, right? So if I want the person of my dreams, how am I going to attract the person of my dreams? First, I better get real clear on what that means. Like, who is the person of my dreams? Like, do I even know? Am I specific enough? Have I even written it down? Do I want somebody that loves dancing? Do I want somebody that is into health? Do I want somebody that loves the ocean? Do I want somebody that loves to binge watch Netflix? Do I want somebody that
Is he or she blonde?
Are they blonde? Are they tall? Are they short? Are they vegan? Are they vegetarian? Are they carnivorous? Are they, what is it exactly that I'm looking for? Because a lot of us want something, but it's a vague idea. We haven't gotten even specific enough. So how do I even become that if I don't know what that is? Right? So the first part is get clear. Right? We've got to write this down. I'm not jumping too far ahead.
No, you're good. Exactly. We'll bring on that.
We've got to get clear. We have to get specific. Just dream big, dream specific. I have to write down exactly what I want. Get specific. The next thing, where I was going to before that, I said this is, then I have to act in that way. Like, if I'm going to attract this person, what does that mean for me? Like, I have to be those qualities. I have to be that, because like attracts like, energy attracts energy. When we vibrate at that same frequency, we attract that same frequency, guys. Right? This isn't new agey, because it with radio stations, right? If there's music going through the air right now. Right now there's music. There's actually video and television going through the air right now. Wherever you are, even if you don't have a radio or TV next to you, when you put a radio in your hands and tune it into the right station, right? You tune it to the right frequency, you pick up that music that's in the air all the time. When you get a TV and you dial it in, remember the bunny ears way back in the day, if you're old enough, right? Now they have like digital antennas and things like that. When you dial the TV into that right frequency, you attract that right frequency, you get a picture. It comes up, right? We are no different. We have to do the same thing. Meaning, if I want to attract this person in my life, I have to become that. I have to. If I want a vegetarian in my life and I'm a meat eater, I better start eating some more vegetables. Damn it! If I want to attract somebody that loves dancing and I don't dance, I better get my butt on the dance floor, right?
And so, as all of that's happening, what we're really looking at is a total paradigm shift in the way most people think things are created. Meaning, like, the paradigm that we live in this world right now, and I think it's changing, is that I have to have the experience first before I can have the feeling. This is a little one. Oh, little cameo, sweet Jordan. The idea that the experience has to happen for me to get the feeling. This is the truth. I don't care what it is you want in your life. It doesn't matter. Like relationship, wealth, health, whatever it is. You are not really looking for what you're looking for. That sounded cryptic. Meaning, if I want a relationship, I'm not actually looking for the person. The person is a representation of how I want to feel in the relationship.
We're chasing feelings, guys.
If I'm looking for money, $100,000, $1 million, $100 million, I don't like the dollars themselves, they don't mean anything. What means something is the feeling that I'm going to have when I achieve that level of wealth. The health that you have, like, it's a little more intrinsic because, like, it's inside of you. Like, I want to lose weight. Like, you don't care about like shedding, like, the physical, like, meat of your body. You care about how you feel when you're lighter, when you've lost the weight. It's always the feeling that we're chasing. This is so important because most people, when they chase experiences, when they chase symbols, they get it and they're miserable. You know, like, this is like kind of how society is based on. Well, you gotta have like the right education, because then you gotta get the right job. If you have the right job, you get the right house, and you get the right car, and then you're gonna attract the right woman because they like the material things. And then you get there, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be happy and fulfilled. And that's why people have midlife crisis, because they've been chasing this symbol, this idea of what life should look like, based on societal norms and what serves their purposes, not your purposes. And then you get there, and you're miserable. Or maybe not miserable, but numb. Maybe not numb, just unfulfilled. You know something's not right. And it's because we've been chasing a symbol and not the feeling that we're going to get when we achieve the symbol. This is so important. It's a complete, like the secrets, that is the secret. We can't keep chasing symbols. Like, you want to know the symbol. This is what John started with. Know what it is, but then there's a process by which we can distill what does that symbol really mean to me as it pertains to the feeling I want to create and want to have when I attain it.
Yeah. So it comes back down to look at the questions you're asking. Am I asking to have $100,000? Or am I really asking for financial security, for financial freedom, for something else? Is exactly what Chris is saying? Is that symbol what I really want, or is there something deeper? Can I dive deeper and say, no, what I really should be asking for is financial freedom? And now let me move into. I said this before. I may have said it before. I've said it a few times today already. The point of a goal is the person you become on your way to achieving it. The point of an intention is becoming that which you seek. So in order to become wealthy, if wealth is just some symbol of wealth is what you want, is what you're striving for, and I want to be wealthy, what we're asking for is to shift ourselves into a wealth mindset and heart set and skill set. What I'm asking for, if wealth is what I want, is to grow. So what that means is, outwardly, what that means is I need to put myself in front of people who are wealthy. I need to put myself in front of people who can train me in the processes of becoming wealthy, or becoming healthy, becoming slim and fit and back to my fighting weight, becoming desirable, attracting that person in my life. I need to study with people I need to study with people that are going to help me in that process. Meaning I have to grow. I have to become that which I seek. This is what we were talking about before. I have to become that which I seek. So I need to read, I need to study, I need to get a coach, have somebody accountable. I need to learn the processes, the strategies, the tactics that are going to help me go to that next level in whatever it is that I'm looking to do.
The power of that is you begin to think like the people who are where you want to be. You put yourself like around those people, and what they're saying, born from their own perspective, becomes thoughts that you hear, and you start thinking literally on that level. Success leaves a trail. So here we are back into we're in this stuck feedback loop. Our potential is limited. We're taking limited action. We have same limited results, and it's reaffirming those same limiting beliefs, right? Everything is limited. We're stuck. How do you break out of that? It's by the ways we just described, right? For us, the process is you gotta move for the mind. The quickest way to change your state, get your body moving, right? Not to mention how healthy it is for our bodies just to move. Then you gotta meditate, because that's the way we get present. We stop the program, the software system that's running amok. We can short circuit it and get present, and then we can focus our minds on the things that we want to create. We can start seeing by visualizing in advance the results we want to have without ever having had them. You do it all the time. You have a simulator. We talked about it yesterday. You envision the worst things possible happening in your life in every other situation, for the most part. I can say that pretty confidently because I do it. We were in martial arts, in the martial arts world. I can't tell you how many simulations went in my brain of worst case scenarios of me having to be the hero, saving my family's life, straight blasting, elbowing, headbutting, take him to the ground, choke him out, and he's dead. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting here with my family having dinner. Worst case scenario, I just literally went into a horror film in my brain, and now I'm checked back in.
Or at least an action film, maybe. Chris is a...
Yeah, I don't watch horror films. It was an action. It was action adventure thriller. It was a thriller for sure. So we can now understand it, because that's a process that we can operate, but we can do it more consciously. I can now say, well, what is it that I want to experience? What's the result I want? What's the end? And right now, I can close my eyes and I can start going through the process of like, well, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And the visualization is you're actually experiencing it as if you had attained it already. What this does is it gives you the feeling, which then attracts the experiences, the people, the material assistance, the places that you'll need to take action on to be able to get there.
And even more, taking a step back from that, what that does is it activates your RAS receptors. The part of the brain, the reticular activating system, we talked about this yesterday, it activates those receptors so that you start to pay attention to what you're looking for in your environment. Your subconscious does, right? So the operating part of your brain is saying, okay, I'm scanning for whatever, I'm scanning for the person of my dreams, I'm scanning for optimal health, I'm scanning, and you start to see the connections, you start to connect the dots, you start to see the things that are in your environment that are going to help you attain what it is you're looking for, right? It activates those so that we are present, as we're walking through life, we're present for, oh, I need to have a conversation with this person. Oh, I've been wanting to lose weight and get back down to my fighting weight. I need to have a conversation with this person in line here at the grocery store because they're talking about fitness or they're talking about this. Or that is the process of this creation, right? So when you pray, you move your feet. When you pray, you move your feet.
When you pray, move your feet. So, like, let's talk about this. Like, I have this idea of where I want to go, and I'm like, okay, I got it. And now I'm like, I'm moving. My brain is, I'm focused. I'm present. I'm visualizing. And then, what? You gotta move your feet. Like, so you have 100 steps to take to get to where you want to go. You gotta look back down where you are and look at that first step. And sometimes we need help. That's what John was talking about, like finding a coach, a mentor, like getting online, learning from people who you admire, who are mentors for you in whatever realm. I don't care if it's health, I don't care if it's wealth, I don't care if it's relationships. There are people out there who have devoted their whole lives to one area, and that success has left a trail, and you can start following it. Not just following it, but what's really happening is you're not just being guided, you're literally changing your brain. By thinking the way they're thinking, by learning what they've learned, by following the steps that they've taken, so that it's not just on visualizing, and like most people are like, I have an affirmation, I want to be healthy, and I want to be happy, and I want to be free. And like that's where they leave it, and it's up here. What we're saying with the visualization too is, you gotta get it into the heart, you gotta feel it. Not just have an idea, but then like, what does it feel like to be in love with the person of my dreams? What's a day in the life of being with that person feel like? And then start moving your feet. Like, what's the first step? All right, well, this is my routine. Let me break out of my routine and like go out one night. And it's like that's where I'm going to meet the person. Or get online.
Where's that person going to hang out? Like that's a good question. Like that's what you're looking for. Like, do I go online and go to Match.com or some website where I can put in the things I'm into? I can actually like weed out. I can qualify leads. Right? I can weed out the people that don't have the things that I'm actually looking for. It's like so like that's what Chris is talking about. When we pray, when we set an intention, we've got to start to move in that direction. We have to. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Right? We have to take action in order to create. And the whole process of the law of manifestation is the steps to move in that direction, steps to create that which we seek, right? To become that which we're seeking, to vibrate in that energy. If I want to be in love, but I'm vibrating that at a level of tired and miserable, I'm never going to attract love. Right? I'm never going to pull love into my life. If I want to attract love in my life, I better take that tired and miserable energy that I'm holding to and transform that into love. So I need to become that which I'm seeking. I need to start to vibrate from that energy in order to attract that energy. And it goes for anything. Everything is energy at its core. When we go deep enough, this is science, guys. This isn't woo-woo,
new agey, tree hugging hippie shit.
No, this is real. You go deep enough into anything, and they find that it's all space filled with energy and information. Right? Energy and information. And when we get to tap into that through the law of intention, we get to tap into that through this law of manifestation, we can attract these things in our life. But it requires us to do the work. to do the work, to take the action. We can't just sit on our asses and say, I want this in my life, but I'm not going to change who I am. It won't happen. Who you are is what you're attracting. And in order to attract something new, you need to change who you are.
I don't have anything else to say. Yeah, that's it. I mean, listen, we have 1,000 stories that we could, as representations, we've taught this like for years and years and years, and our students have they've manifested like one that comes to mind is like her husband and her family, her children. Like when she took our teacher training, she was like, I want a family, I want a husband, I want children. And we were like, well, here's the process. And sure enough, she's got a husband, she's got kids, and she is happy. She got clear about what it was that she done. Like we manifested our lives this way. Like we in our training, we can tell the stories of like the process, but also the examples of what it is. Like the house I live in, I moved in this past April of 2018. I created that with my wife. Like that wasn't random. It wasn't happenstance. I didn't like stumble into the perfect place that I didn't know I'd love this. No, I knew exactly what I wanted. We had an idea of what it was going to feel like. We started feeling. We started talking about it. We started driving through the area. We noticed houses. We started talking. We call our realtor friend. Hey, would you mind looking at this area and just telling us if there's anything that comes on the market? Because we're really looking to move. Like it's not like, oh, I'm going to write down. I want to move to my perfect dream house, and then I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to put it away, and then I'm going to go about my day. We expect that it's going to happen, it's not going to happen.
For years, New Year's resolutions were like that for us. And Chris and I, and we have some friends, we would write 20 minutes before the ball was going to drop, we'd write down our intentions, and then as the ball was dropping, we'd have this little candle or a little fire going, and we'd throw our intentions into it, and they'd burn up, and we're like, well, the smoke will go into the ether, and that will help manifest it. The next day, I was like, shit, what did I write down? My head all fuzzy from a hangover. Like, what was it? Years ago, guys. Not happening anymore. Because for two reasons. I realized I want to be clear the next day, and more importantly, I need to know what my intentions are. In order to manifest them, my process now is every single morning, I write down who I want to be, how do I want to show up as me. I write down 4 words that represent that. I write down who I want to show up with my significant others, my wife, my kids, my brother, my family, my friends. And then I write down who I want to show up, how do I want to show up professionally. Right? 3 to 4 words. And then I write down my goals. I do this every single morning. Every single morning. 2 goals, 2 personal goals, 2 professional goals. And then I align my day, the rest of my journal writing that day, this is every morning, the rest of my journal writing is putting together my thoughts and ideas and feelings about the day before and the day that's going to happen, on how it's going to unfold, what is my next thing that I need to do to move towards those goals. There's more to just writing it down, putting it away, writing it down, burning it, writing it down, and hoping and wishing that this is going to happen. Manifestation is the true act of manifesting, the true law of intention is becoming someone different than you are right now in order to attract that which you see. Our mom went through our teacher training. She learned this information, and she needed a new car, and so she wrote it down, wrote the make, the model, the color, the whole thing. She got real specific, read it, worked the process, and I think it was within a month after she wrote it down, she got that car. It was huge. I was like, there you go. It works. Sometimes you need reminders like, oh yeah, this stuff works. We just got to do the process.
One of the limiting beliefs we have is that life is random, and we need to have good luck. I don't believe in randomness. I don't believe in luck. And there's a process that we employ and we implement in our lives, and that we teach in our trainings, and it works. Period. It takes randomness out of it. It takes luck out of it. Honestly, those don't even exist. Because you got to have preparedness, you got to have opportunity. And when those two come together, you take action, and you're golden. And so, if you have a desire to manifest your intentions this year, or you know you've been in this stuck pattern and you want to break through or break free from it, I hope this training has helped. But what I know will help is the Awaken Life Live event, or our teacher training if you're really wanting to learn how to teach yoga to people. and it is coming up next weekend. It starts a week from today, and there's a couple spots left. It's one of the reasons why we wanted to throw this training out there. We wanted, like, man, if people are excited about, like, man, movement, meditation, manifestation, let's do something for them to, like, just give them, like, great information. This is, like, the core of what we do, but there's so much more that we can dive into when you come to the live event, when you do the teacher training. And so in a moment, there's going to be a link, if there isn't already, in the description or on the post, and click it, check it out, contact us, leave a comment. If this was valuable to you, share. But man, if you are interested, on the fence, let us know. Let's have a conversation, and we'd love to have you in there. We know the value. We've had so many, like 500 students who have gone through our teacher trainings and the testimonials.
A little closer to 1,000 now.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal, and it's not about us. It's about what comes through the teachings and what we've experienced that can help people and help you in your life. And so we are super passionate about it, as you can probably tell, and we would love for you to be a part of it.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you. Click on that link, jump in, and let's have a conversation. We do application only. There's only a few spots left, so apply, and if your application is accepted, we'll call you and come join us. So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for sharing this time with us, and we'll see you in the near future.
Peace.